In the video, which was provided by the Ukrainian soldiers of the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade, we can see a Bradley neutralizing an armored personnel carrier vehicle at close range. The scene was straight out of an action movie. You can see the Bradley scoring hit after hit on the Russian vehicle as they both passed each other like Justin knights riding horses during medieval times. At that moment, I thought to myself, you know what? Gonzalo Lira was truly an idiot. I'm so glad he's no longer around making videos where he was just spreading ignorant lies and misinformation.
The Facts Hunter.
Hello everyone, this is a Facts Hunter. At the time of recording of this video, in June of 2024, the war in Ukraine is showing no signs of slowing down. This past April 2024, US Congress passed a $60+ billion aid package that Ukraine was able to use to stop the Russian advance, and also suppressed a new front that the Russians had opened in the region of Kharkiv. This first week of June 2024, a new video popped out in social media showing once again the awesome reliability of the M2A2 Bradley. The video is amazing to say the least. In the video, which was provided by the Ukrainian soldiers of the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade, we can see a Bradley neutralizing an armored personnel carrier vehicle at close range. The scene was straight out of an action movie. You can see the Bradley scoring hit after hit on the Russian vehicle as they both passed each other like Justin knights riding horses during medieval times. My favorite part is when the Russian vehicle actually drove off the road because the driver didn't want to get into a head-on collision with the Bradley, while the Bradley didn't even slow down unshaken by the Russian invaders. At that moment, I thought to myself, you know what? Gonzalo Lira was truly an idiot. I'm so glad he's no longer around making videos where he was just spreading ignorant lies and misinformation. Oh, but let me tell you, this is not the first time I had those same thoughts. No, sir. I also thought about this last year when a video came out where a Bradley destroyed another Russian armored personnel carrier vehicle. Or better yet, the time when two Bradleys took on a Russian T-90 battle tank and made quick work out of it. That video was off the hook. On that video, the T-90 was taking heavy fire from the Bradley's 25mm chain gun. Russian President Vladimir Putin once touted the heavily armored tank as the world's best. A Ukrainian TV channel interviewed the two crew members of the Bradley, the commander and gunner Shirai and the driver Alexander, who were on their second mission together. We fired with all we could, at first with anti-armor, and then we started having issues. Shirai described having anti-armor issues, but he didn't elaborate on what type of problems they were having with their ammunition. The commander compared operating the Bradley vehicle to playing a video game and said this helped him plan how and where to hit the tank. He said he had to stop the tank at any cost and started blinding the vehicle with rounds so it couldn't leave. So he targeted the tank's optics. The rounds triggered some of the tank's explosive reactive armor, destroying the optics after being hammered by repeated bursts of the Bradley's 25mm shells. At the end, we can see the tank spinning out of control and rolling into a tree. Now check this out. The crew said this was their second assignment together because Shirai, the commander and gunner, had just returned from training in Germany, and he said that he had hoped he will never see a tank that close up. The heart promptly went off, Shirai said, describing his nerves. I can't express what it means, to see a tank in the sights. Shirai said and added that another Bradley had gone before them, but it didn't work out, so we had to muster up the courage and go. He did not elaborate on what had happened with the first crew, driver Alexander said. These missions are risky and often very scary. The YouTuber Ryan Macbeth, who spent 20 years as an infantry officer, said that the gunner Shirai did a great job, and he can't imagine how loud it must have been for the Russians inside of the T-90 tank as the 25mm rounds from the Bradley kept pounding the tank. Those guys definitely must have lost their hearing by now.
Now in this case, well, the display we're seeing here put on by that Bradley is impressive, and kudos to the gunner. The gunner of this Bradley really knows his stuff. In this case, the T-90, and I also think that this crew is completely deaf by this point. I can't imagine what it sounds like inside that tank when they're under that kind of 25mm fire. Now watch, the Russian equivalent of the VA is going to send some kind of letter saying that that crew's hearing loss was non-service connected.
Now check this out. This Bradley belongs to the same 47 separate mechanized brigade from the recent video that came out this week. The Ukrainians are masters of the Bradley for sure. And just as I was editing this video, another video popped up on Telegram. In this video, we can see a Ukrainian soldier who had been wounded in action, and he was left alone on the field. He was scared. He said that when he saw a drone, he didn't know if it was a Russian drone or a Ukrainian drone. So he took his chances and made contact with the drone. He even went as far as to show his military ID. Soon after, his Ukrainian comrades made contact with him and sent one of the Bradleys to rescue him. There is no doubt the M2A2 Bradleys not only are great at fighting Russian tanks, but they are also at saving Ukrainian lives. But I'm pretty sure some of you might be asking yourselves, why does Fax Hunter thinks about Gonzalo Lira when he sees the Bradley on action? Well, that's because of the ignorant comments that Gonzalo Lira made when he was debating Laserpig on a video, where he said the following.
The US has 3,500 Abrams in storage. They've got 4,000 Bradleys in storage.
Oh, come on. Bradleys are basically
There's a company in Czechoslovakia.
A lightly armored Jeep, and you and I both know it. It's better to have a Hummer. At least it's quicker than a Bradley. Come on.
You're trying to.
Oh, come on. Bradleys are basically
There's a company in Czechoslovakia.
A lightly armored Jeep, and you and I both know it.
Yes, sir. Gonzalo Lira was constantly lying and spreading misinformation because he was a shameless Russian propagandist.
See, all of these weapons that the West is promising Ukraine, see, they're kind of pointless. Because you see, the Ukrainian soldiers who would need them, they're not trained on them. And they're not going to have the time to train on them properly to be able to use them effectively. But that's what's going on with a lot of the Western gear. It's too fragile. It's too complicated. But it doesn't work. The Ukraine soldiers complain, they bitch and moan. They're also complaining about javelins and stingers because they're saying they're too complicated and they don't get the job done. And this is actually true because a lot of military observers have noted that there are Russian tanks that clearly have had like 3-4 direct hits from these javelin anti-tank missiles, and the tanks are still running after 3-4 direct hits. So what's the point of the javelin? I mean, all the point of a missile like the javelin is that you shoot it once, done. The thing is dead. The tank is dead with just the one shot. But I saw one video that was taken like a first-person guy, some guy holding a camera while the other guy used a javelin from like the second or third story window of some building. There was a tank rolling by, a Russian tank rolling by. It was clear because of the Z. The tank was rolling by, and these guys shot a javelin right at it. I'm talking, man, it couldn't have been more than maybe 15 meters, 20 meters tops, right at it. And the tanks are like stopped, swiveled around. I mean, it was so funny. It was anthropomorphic, The tank looked like a person or looked like a giant, mechanized animal of some sort. It got hit, it stopped, it sort of like swiveled its turret. Like, what was that? And then it kept on going. It was so funny, man.
Now, in this video, Gonzalo Lira is doing what a lot of Russian propagandists do, which is to give uneducated commentary, mostly motivated by his own personal bias. I will explain more about Gonzalo's motivations as a Russian propagandist in a moment. But first, let's talk about the video Gonzalo was yapping about on his uneducated commentary. The video Gonzalo is talking about is this one right here. This video was recorded in Mariupol, and yes, this was a Ukrainian soldier firing a Western weapon at a Russian tank. However, this is not a javelin, as Gonzalo claims it is. What we're seeing is an M2A2 anti-tank weapon rocket. Now, keep this in mind. Gonzalo Lira, like many propagandists, didn't do his research or even care about the facts. He was not an expert in military weapons, or politics, or economics. His only talent was to be able to talk with confidence in front of a camera about things he didn't know shit about. Now, I'm not a weapons expert neither, and just like Gonzalo, I do have a bachelor's degree. Gonzalo's bachelor's degree is on arts, and mine is in computer science. Of course, I do have to mention that Gonzalo attended a prestige legacy college, but he was such a piece of shit, he was convicted of sexual assault and suspended during his first year at Dartmouth College, his freshman year. But I digress. So, what should one do when talking about topics one is not an expert about? Well, I was taught in school that we should do research on the topic.
Do your research, man. Do your research, man.
So that's what I did. So I found two great videos on the subject. One from the YouTuber channel EngineerReact called Why M2A2 Failed Against T-72B Tank, and another by Binkov's Battlegrounds called Javelin vs. M2A2, which is the anti-tank king. The links for the videos can be found down below. The best explanation I was able to understand is that the M2A2 has an effective rocket detonation range of 20 meters. This is because the detonation would have been too strong and could have injured the soldier who fired the weapon. So it would have been better for the soldier to wait for the tank to get at the proper distance in order for the warhead to detonate at full charge. So what ended up happening was an explosion caused by the rocket's fuel and not the warhead. But it is hard to blame the soldier. He probably was inexperienced and didn't know how to best use the weapon, or he made a mistake due to the rush of being on the battlefield. Either way, Gonzalo, like any Russian propagandist, is sharing misinformation because he talks to the camera confident in his words, even though he was uneducated on the subject he was talking about. Plus, he didn't bother doing research because he knows that the people who follow him and believe his words have confirmation bias, meaning the type of people who follow Russian propagandists such as him can't accept facts or reality. So why even bother? Because, in his own words, the people who follow his channel and watch his videos are stupid.
Essential though it is, you know, young guys today, I'm sorry, I mean, a lot of my audience are young guys. I'm gonna ask you, are you guys stupid on purpose, or do you like take a class to be stupid, or is it like a natural talent? You know, were you born stupid?
He thinks an M2A2 and a javelin are the same, and he claims an M2A2 Bradley is not better than a Jeep.
Oh, come on. Bradleys are basically
There's a company in Czechoslovakia.
a lightly armored Jeep, and you and I both know it.
He claims Ukrainian soldiers can't be trained to use Western weapons because Western weapons are too complicated and delicate, while there are multiple videos showing how Ukrainian soldiers have used the Bradley effectively in the battlefield. Not to mention that the soldier that destroyed the T-90 tank had just recently returned from training in Germany, and in the most recent video, a Bradley was strong enough and intimidating that a Russian armored vehicle lost a game of chicken against it when it went head-to-head against the M2A2 American-made. Now, going back to Gonzalo's Russian propagandist motivations. For those who might not know who Gonzalo Lira was, here's a little information so that we are all on the same page. Gonzalo Lira was a sociopath who hated the West because of the West philosophy of living under the rule of law.
What did I tell you in the last video I posted? I told you, leave the Western democracies now while you still can.
Gonzalo Lira has always idolized dictators such as his childhood hero Humberto Pinochet and his most recent boy crush Vladimir Putin.
Pinochet did a lot of things that were bad. But the problem with Pinochet is that he did a lot of things that were good. The Pinochet dictatorship outright said that it was a right-wing dictatorship. It didn't fuck around. It didn't pretend to be something it wasn't. It says, we are a right-wing dictatorship. It was a good government. It was a very good government. Corruption went down during the military dictatorship. Social services, bureaucracies, and all the rest of all the government services that are supposed to be given to the people improved dramatically in some cases. The dictatorship did good by the people. And that's why the left hates him.
Oh no, it's not like that at all. Putin is not, Antichrist, okay? He's a political leader and he's got his motivations. They're very good motivations. They're very good reasons to be embarked in this war. You can agree with them or not, but to say that they're not reasonable, that they're not actually compelling reasons to carry out this war, you're lying. No, the Russians, they're not the nicest people in the fucking world. Nobody's saying otherwise. And Putin, he's a mean motherfucker. And by the way, let's all be fucking grown-ups, okay? People in power, in any level of power, they didn't get there by being fucking nice, okay? Nobody gets the big chair by being fucking nice. And what Vladimir Putin has carried out over the past week is an invasion, plain and simple. And this euphemism bullshit, fuck that. It's an invasion. Is it wrong to invade a country? Well, it depends. No, it doesn't. Right. If I had been the dictator of Russia, I would have invaded Ukraine years ago. I'm talking 5, 8, 10 years ago.
Okay, Vladimir Putin is a very capable leader who did a series of interviews with Oliver Stone, which I suggest you watch. They were quite long. Oliver Stone interviewed him over a number of years and created this documentary. It's really an extraordinary documentary. I mean, as a work of documentary, it's incredible. And it gives incredible insight into Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, he is, for all intents and purposes, what you would call an ethnic nationalist. But he is not an imperialist.
And because all of Gonzalo's business endeavors had failed in the West, he developed a hatred against the Western countries ever since the early 2000s when he made his first appearance in RT News, the Russian-sponsored media, in the early 2000s.
Welcome to the future, bringing you the latest in science and technology from around Russia. We've got the future covered.
Welcome back to the Kaiser Report. I'm Max Kaiser. Time to go back to Chile and talk with Gonzalo Lira, one of the regulars here on the Kaiser Report. Why? Because he's in Chile, and Chile and Brazil are like the only countries that are doing well these days. Gonzalo, welcome back to the Kaiser Report.
It's a pleasure being on, Max. Thanks for having me on.
All right, now, Gonzalo, apparently Chile's central bank has joined the other insane central banks around the world. Bloomberg reports that Chile's central bank is to buy $12 billion to stem the peso region-beating rally. This looks like another chapter in the currency war. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. It's another part of the race to the bottom.
Our next guest, writer and blogger Gonzalo Lira, believes ultra-easy monetary policy will be the demise of the U.S. dollar. In part 2 of our conversation with Gonzalo, I asked him whether his views have changed since he wrote a widely read piece predicting hyperinflation in the United States. Here's what he had to say.
Well, my views haven't changed, and it's very frustrating because I sort of like go over and over all of the analytical steps that I've mapped out on it. And it seems to me that there's no other escape, and it seems to me that the Federal Reserve does not seem to know what it's doing. And the political leadership in Washington has not really helped matters much because they haven't really gone out of their way to cut back on the deficit.
Americans are like puppies. I mean, Johnny Depp said this years ago and he had to walk it back and say, I respect Americans, but he was right. Americans are like puppies, okay? They're emotional, they're stupid, and they run around without any thought, any consideration as to the future, and they're pathetic. I mean, I'm just up to here with Americans of all stripes, you know, between the decadence and degeneracy, the fatness, and the loser leadership that it's got. I mean, dude, you know, anybody worth anything in the United States should leave. I've said this since last October, man. The United States is toast, and all the people there, fucking losers, every single one. But they're puppies.
I mean, a lot of my audience are young guys. I'm gonna ask you, are you guys stupid on purpose, or do you like take a class to be stupid, or is it like a natural talent? You know, were you born stupid?
So the question remains, why do I keep making videos about Gonzalo Lira if he is already dead? Well, the answer is simple. Gonzalo Lira is the stereotypical grifter, sociopath who hates the West because he hated playing by the rules of decency that our society demands. By exposing his lies, one can dismantle the type of lies other grifters might try to push out because Russian propagandists tend to share the same similarities. They all seem to lack ethical decency. For example, Russian propagandists don't always share where their sources come from. And to prove this, if you ever watch any Russian propagandist channel in YouTube, you will always see some talking head that talks throughout the segment without showing any video or pictures on the subject they are talking about. And when they do, it comes from sources that are unreliable because they are heavily influenced by Russia. Those Russian propagandists always say the same things, like we all know, and the mainstream media lies. So for those people out there who are looking for the truth, make sure to always check the sources. Even in this video, please go check Ryan Macbeth's videos, or EngineerReact, or Binkov's Battlegrounds. Those guys, along with Jake Bro, Warhol Defense, Dennis Davidov, Artur Rehi, and many other channels that I will mention in the future, are great sources of factual information about the war in Ukraine. And if you like what I'm doing in this channel, please click a like and a subscribe, and thanks again for watching all the way till the end. This is a Fox Hunter, take care, and bye bye for now.